The woman noticed that the names of the shops in the small town were identical to her assistant's name. This made her suspect that her seemingly poor assistant was actually a hidden millionaire. Before this, the assistant had always been very humble in front of her. After all, Annie was a high-level executive at a company with $1 million salary, but she was extremely strict with her employees. The moment she showed up, the staff who had previously been relaxed would suddenly become busy. On the surface, they respected her, but behind her back, they insulted her. Her assistant, Jack, was with Annie every day. For 3 years, Jack never took a single day off. Yet, despite all this, he continued to stay on the job. However, because Annie was so caught up in her work, she forgot to renew her visa at the immigration office. This meant that once her visa expired, she would be forced to leave the US and would be banned from re-entering for a year. Her boss told her that after she left, her position would be filled by a former executive. But this former executive was lazy and incompetent. He'd rather have an affair than do honest work. At this point, Jack entered the room to talk to Annie about something. Annie suddenly had an idea. She proposed to her boss that she would marry Jack because marrying a local would grant her a US green card. The boss clearly didn't believe it. How could a company executive marry her assistant? The news quickly spread throughout the company, and everyone was curious about the situation. They all stared at Jack, who was now seemingly in Annie's grip. Jack, not understanding what was happening at first, soon realized and refused to marry her. Annie told him that once she resigned, the new executive would fire him as well. To keep his job, Jack reluctantly agreed, thinking that once Annie got her green card, the marriage would be over. But when they went to the immigration office to register, the officer noticed they didn't seem like a couple. The officer threatened them, saying if the marriage turned out to be a sham, Annie would never be allowed to enter the US again, and Jack would be fined $250,000 and face 5 years in prison. In response to the warning, Annie said they would go to Jack's hometown to hold the wedding. The officer eventually gave them a week to prove the legitimacy of their marriage. This risky move made Jack anxious. For the past 3 years, he had obeyed Annie without question, but he had never been promoted. Now, this was his chance for revenge. Jack demanded that Annie promote him and make him a public proposal on the street. Desperate to get the green card, Annie put aside her pride and actually kneeled down. But this was just the beginning of Jack's revenge.